Hey fight fans, welcome back to the Fight Book. This is the Indian accent guy, and today we have 5 new UFC fight announcements and 7 big non-UFC fight announcements as well. So without wasting any time, let's start the video. Let's start it from Khamzat Chimaev versus Dricus du Plessis. Dricus du Plessis in his latest interview says his title defense against Khamzat Chimaev will be happening in the next couple of months and maximum 4 months. He says the UFC has offered him 2 possible dates and he agreed for both, and the announcement will be made soon. Dricus du Plessis' coach had said that they are preparing for a ground war against Khamzat Chimaev, and Khamzat responded on it saying, "Let them prepare for war, I'm preparing for murder." And Dricus du Plessis further claps back and says, "Wow, that's the first time I've heard that one. Shakespeare in the house." Anyway, from UFC 317 headliner Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev, we have something cooking by the UFC. UFC matchmaker Hunter Campbell went to Dagestan to talk business with Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev is also preparing for his next fight as per the video footages from his gym. Anyway, we know that Islam is waiting for the result of Belal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena this weekend, and Belal says it again that he would move up to 185 before fighting Islam Makhachev because the loyalty means more than anything. He says after his second title defense, he will try to move up to the middleweight division, and he and Islam then can go double champ back to back. Anyway, Kamaru Usman also had an interview with ESPN MMA where he showed his hate towards the current welterweight champion Belal and says if they ever meet backstage, security would be needed to separate them. And Belal Muhammad explains Kamaru's remarks and says they were on a podcast where Kamaru had said,
I still had the belt, and I was like, I'm the champion now, but he just couldn't give me my props, right? It was just one of those where he was just like, but anything you do, I do better than you. And then I was like, but you didn't take the head kick better than me.
Belal says he thinks that just triggered him and that's why he is talking shit about him. Anyway, Belal hate is universal as Colby Covington found Belal Muhammad's food at the UFC PI and hid it from him, as you can see on your screen. Anyway, the official backup of this fight, Ian Gary, says he will not accept a non-title fight next and wants the champion either Belal or Jack Della Maddalena after UFC 315. And Belal at UFC 315 Media Day just claps back at Usman and Colby, both calling them losers, and praise Gary's work, saying he is doing all of the right stuff to promote himself. The co-headliner Valentina Shevchenko got her own custom outfit and she will be wearing that at UFC 315 May 10th fight against Manon Fiorot, who at Media Day talks about Veli versus Shevchenko and admits she was uncomfortable hearing all of that talks before the UFC announced her fight against Shevchenko. She says if she has to fight against young Veli in her first title defense after beating Shevchenko, she will fight her, but the number one strawweight contender Virna Jandiroba wants her title shot and says it's her time to fight young Veli for the UFC strawweight title. Feature fighter of the card Jose Aldo at the Media Day presser says he was pissed after his bad performance against Mario Bautista and this time he plans to show some good performance. On the other hand, his opponent Ayman Zahabi says he can't over-respect that legend Jose Aldo during their fight at UFC 315 because he knows Aldo is coming to rip his face off. He says just like Jose Aldo, he also wants to make 2 checks. Now something from past weekend's UFC Des Moines card. The biggest loser on that card, Bo Nickel, admits that Renier de Ridder was overall just more well-rounded, more skilled, and more experienced than him. In short, Nickel says RDR was a better fighter that night. Instead of making excuses, Nickel says there is still so much room to improve for him and he will improve. Nickel also says that he would not take a hiatus and would like to fight a couple more times this year. Nickel's head coach also responds to the criticism surrounding his performance at UFC 315. Anyway, Renier de Ridder's manager Ali Abdulaziz says RDR just got offered a fight and guess who? In the meanwhile, Robert Whittaker also teases a fight news coming soon via his Instagram comment. And after these comments, it is being reported that it is the fight between Robert Whittaker versus Rainier de Ridder. If you don't know, Robert Whittaker versus Sean Strickland fight was in works previously, and they were supposed to fight at UFC 317 card. On the other hand, if we talk about Rainier de Ridder, he have already fought 3 times in the UFC in less than 6 months. Anyway, Nickel is not making excuses, but the main event loser Deiveson Figueiredo making the excuses after his loss. He says he wasn't 100% and he was out of action for 3 weeks during this camp. He says he had called his manager to cancel the fight, but his friend and family encouraged him, and that was the reason for his poor performance and for the loss. From UFC 316 card, we have the co-headliner Juliana Pena at Ariel Helwani show, where she revealed that she was told by the UFC that Amanda Nunes didn't want to fight her after the rematch, as Nunes thinks she has nothing to prove against Juliana Pena. Pena says that she was told Amanda hates Kayla Harrison, and if Kayla signs with the UFC, then she will probably return to fight Kayla Harrison. Pena says it is very likely that Amanda will stay retired if Pena beats Kayla Harrison at UFC 316. Pena also accuses her opponent Kayla Harrison for PEDs. Anyway, there were 2 fights that are added on that UFC 316 card, headlined by Dvalishvili versus O'Malley. First one is a welterweight bout where Chaos Williams will return against Uros Magic. The second one is a ranked light heavyweight fight where number 12 ranked Azamat Mirzakhanov will be taking on the short notice replacement Branson Ribeiro, who is replacing Johnny Walker, who had to pull out due to a small injury. The rumors have it that Walker's injury is not that severe, and he is now in talks to fight number 13 ranked Chinese fighter Mingyang Zhang. This fight is reportedly being finalized for UFC Shanghai 2 main event in August. Anyway, the next officially announced fight is a featherweight bout where number 15 ranked Calvin Kattar will return to break his 4-fight losing streak against Steve Garcia, who is currently riding a 5-fight knockout streak. Next is a women's strawweight bout where number 7 ranked Amanda Ribas will return at UFC 318 card against number 10 ranked Tabitha Ricci. Now let's talk about these non-UFC fight announcements. PFL will debut in Africa in Cape Town, South Africa at Grand West Arena on July 26th. The card will be headlined by Bellator and PFL middleweight champion 16-0 Johnny Eblin, who will be making the 4th defense of his belt against Costello Von Stinis, who is currently riding a 2-fight finish streak in the PFL and Bellator. In the co-headliner, their undefeated flyweight champion Dakota Dechiba against Sumiko Inaba, who is also riding a 2-fight win streak in PFL and Bellator. The undercard will include the PFL Africa tournament fights between 4 heavyweights and 4 bantamweights. Muhammad Mokaev is also already scheduled to fight at 971 Fighting Championship card on June 14th against Alisher Gabdulin. Mokaev is coming off his knockout win, his Karate Combat debut this past Friday, while Gabdulin is currently on a 4-fight win streak and lost only 1 out of his last 12 fights. And that's all in this video. Now you are completely up to date with the fight world. If you like the video, if you like my work, you are supposed to do only one thing: just share your thoughts in the comment section, because your feedback is important to me, and then do whatever you want.